Hello and welcome to today's live stream. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you had a great weekend. Do me a favor and let me know where you're joining from in the comments below. Hello and welcome to today's live stream. Let me know if you can hear us. Hello everybody, still quarantined in Wadsworth. I can hear you. Hello from Grafton, sunny Canton, Michigan. Hello and welcome everybody. Sorry about that, I had the YouTube video muted. Apparently it was on mute when I opened up the presentation, so I do apologize for that. Hello and welcome everybody. So we are not in our normal studio. So that's why there was a couple glitches this morning. We are not in the studio that I've come accustomed to as far as the last couple weeks. We are actually in the store today. I wanted to be here to knock a couple things out and also just kind of get into more of a routine. So as of right now, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, my plan is to join from the store, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be working from home. So every day, I want to make sure that I'm providing you with the absolute best content out there. So I want to jump over and see who we have joining us so far. Looks like we have Mike joining us from Copley, Ohio. Hello, welcome back. Still quarantined in Wadsworth. I don't know. I've seen some pretty awesome some awesome photos coming out. So I don't think you're too quarantined. Those are looking good, Jim. Everybody says sounds okay. Hello, Joanne Bradford from Grafton. Hope you are doing well. I hope you are doing great. Hope you had an awesome weekend. Tech Gear Talk joining us from Cleveland. Hello. One of our guests from a couple videos back. So if you want to know a little bit more about YouTube and you want to learn about getting started with YouTube, go back and watch that video. It's a very good video where he dropped so much knowledge on us. And Jackie Photo says, hello. Well, hello, Jackie Photo. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about Tether Tools, and more specifically about wireless tethering. So this is kind of going to be a gear talk, if you will. I'm going to talk through the Air Direct. It's a product that came out, I want to say definitely within the last year, but it's a solid product for school photographers, for studio photographers, for food photographers, anywhere where you want your camera to either send things. So let's say you want to take a photo and you're doing headshots tethered and you want to send them right to a computer, or you're in studio shooting a senior session and you want them to pop up on an iPad. Or it could also be used if you want to go through and control the camera. So we're going to talk a lot about the different options that you have for wireless tethering, but I did want to go over just a few little housekeeping items, if you will. So number one is we are still open at the store. I'm here. If you want to see me, I'll sign some autographs, but we got to keep 6 foot back, please. No, I'm kidding. We are open from 1 to 5 every day, but Sunday we are here to serve you guys. So if there's absolutely anything you need, please let us know. Also, we will be monitoring the chat today. So if you have any specific questions about Tether Tools or tethering as a whole, please reach out and let us know how we can help. If there is a certain topic for a live stream that you want to see, please let me know. I do these every day throughout the week, every day at noon. So, if there is some content that you want me to cover, please let me know. Moving on from there, letting you know that the PPA has extended their offer, which is all of their online content that is normally behind a paywall at $30 to $40 a month is now open for all photographers. So if you go to that website there at the bottom, ppa.com/inittogether, then you can get access to all of their content. And it's not just, how-to videos. It's not just, stuff about photography and the art of photography. They have all that, but they also have some great business topics as well. So today I want to talk about, what are our goals for today? What do we want to talk about? What is it that we are going to, what's the main reason for this? Number one is to pull you away from the FUD, the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt that is going on right now in the world. And really, I just want to remind you that you have this awesome gift, this awesome hobby of photography, and I don't want you to lose sight of that. And today we're going to be talking about tech stuff, which I absolutely love. I love bringing stuff together and making it all work and showing you all the different pieces that you need. This is something that I can definitely geek out on, so I'm super excited about today's topic as well. But again, I just want to pull you away from everything that's going on, even if it is just for a half hour to an hour. My goal is also to get you motivated to try something new, something outside of your comfort zone. So let's say you've never even thought about tethering, or you've never, had a reason to. Maybe after today, you'll be inspired to try something new, or this might solve a problem in your workflow that you've been hesitant to try something. So that's my goal, is to kind of get you outside of that comfort zone so you can grow as a photographer and a business. And who knows, we might help you discover a new, I call it niche, but a niche that could become more profitable for you in the future. So now this might be that missing piece that you need to start doing those headshots or that product photography, whatever that might be. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out, social@thepixelconnection, or just put a link or put a comment in, and we will get back to you, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, wherever it is at. So, let me jump back here again. I don't have my normal, all my cool little buttons and my sound effects, so might be a little rough around the edges today. I do apologize. But let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about tethering. So why would you want to tether? So for me, in my business, when I was shooting seniors and weddings, I primarily used tethering for the in-studio stuff. And it was great because, when we're shooting, when we're photographing, I'm trying to be better at saying photographing instead of shooting. When we have this habit to take a picture and look at the back of the camera and, and then give, tips like, oh, I move over to the left or move over to the right. So what this allows us to do is to be able to shoot to a very large screen. So that way the model can see exactly what you're talking about. Or with the tool that we're going to talk about today, it can even be on an iPad. So let's say the mom and dad of the senior are sitting, back, and they're watching, this all unfold. They can actually see the photos right on that iPad. So that's one benefit, is you instantly see the photos on a very large screen instead of trying to figure out, these aren't the best quality of screens that are in these. I mean, the viewfinders are getting much better, but these screens are not going to be what the, image actually looks like. And what's cool too is, you know, you might be sitting there thinking, oh no, like when my client sees a photo, I want them to see it within my, you know, my colors, my look, all that. Well, you can actually set up for when it imports into Lightroom, Capture One, any of these tools, that it actually applies a preset. So you can bump the contrast, the saturate, whatever it is that you do, you can actually set it up to automatically do that for you. So if you were a little bit worried about that, don't worry. You can actually apply those just right on import. And like I said, so the first benefit is obviously seeing it on a larger screen. You'll be able to point out things that you want to change, or something might pop out that you didn't even see on the back of the camera. The number two reason is just for raw speed of your workflow. So when you're shooting tethered, all of those images are showing up onto your computer already. So instead of taking all these photos, going to your computer, importing them, going through, calling them, you're now doing that during the session. You're at least taking the importing process out, because again, you're shooting right into Lightroom, or you're shooting right into, you know, a folder that you can navigate and bridge, whatever it is, whatever your workflow is, you're directly shooting into that computer or that workflow. So that would be the number two benefit. And the last benefit that I think is nice is mostly now you don't have to have all these cables. So before, you used to have all these long cables that you would have to, you know, kind of being followed around the studio, tripping people. I hate wires in a studio setting. I just think it looks really bad. I think that, you know, again, it's a trip hazard. But now with the Air Direct, one of the things I'm going to talk about today, this is totally wireless. So there's no reason to not do it. It actually makes it super easy to do so. So let's get into it. I'm actually going to jump over to the Tether Tools site, so you have an idea of the product that I'm talking about. So let me jump out of this one and share my screen. Boop. Let me know in the comments, are you currently tethering? Are you a tetherer, if you will? I would like to know who here is tethering. So this is one of the products that we're going to be talking about today. This is the Air Direct. Oops, let me get you over there. There we go. This is the Air Direct wireless tethering system. And I've been using this now for a couple months, since we actually have one of these for rental as well at the store. So if you want to try it before you pick it up, we have that available. But it's this little tiny box. It's about, I don't know, 3 inches by 2 inches, and it sits on top of your camera. So you can see it slides in right there. And then what happens is you have these different cables that you can see here. It comes with all the cables too, so you're not having to buy anything else with this system. When you buy the system, you have everything you need. And then your cable goes in, and then it goes directly into your camera, just like you see in the photo here. And what this allows you to do is then take those files, and you're basically tricking your camera into thinking that it's directly connected to a computer. And you might be thinking, well, you know, isn't that going to slow me down? Isn't that going to be slow? No, this is using AC wireless. So it's super, super fast transport. And actually at our display at Imaging USA, we had this set up for our presenters. And in a live studio, or in a live area, think about a conference. Let's think about how many people are at this conference, all this interference. And we were able to, all of our presenters were able to shoot remotely without any issues. So again, this little guy has a battery on top. So this is actually the Canon, what is it, the LPE6? Yep, the LPE6 battery. So for all you Canon shooters that are out there, you already have the perfect battery that goes right in on top of the Air Direct. So once you get that plugged in, all you have to do is power it on. So you can see here, we're getting our little green light, and then we're off to the races. So what else do you need for setting this up? So one of the questions that we get a lot, one of the questions that we get in the studio, or I'm sorry, in the store is, well, what if I want to shoot with a flash on top of my camera? You know, this isn't going to go there. Well, what they actually came out with, Tether Tools has the option to, let's say you pop this grip on here, so your regular L bracket, and then what you can do is you can put this little bracket on. It locks in nice and tight. And what this actually does for you is gives you a cold shoe that this then goes right in. Oops, gotta loosen it up there. So now bada bing, bada boom. This is right on the side of your camera. This is a 6D Mark II, and you can see it's just chilling right on the side. So you still have where you could put your tripod there, you could still have your flash, and you can still be shooting tethered. So this little thing here is a lifesaver. This is made by Tether Tools. Another cool thing is they give you the cold shoe, as you can see there, where it slides right in. But then they also give you the threaded area. So if you need to put other accessories on there, you could technically thread in, you know, other items as well. So just this tool, don't think of it just for this, you know, just using it for this. You can actually, you know, plug this into your L bracket and use it for other things as well. So I want to jump over to the chat and see. Yes, I'm a tetherer. Tether Tools USB-C from my X-T3 to my MacBook and then to Capture One. So yes, so we already have some people out there that are tethering. Yes, I tether my studio shots using Lightroom. Very good. So do you guys, does the cable bother you? Is that just me where this is like solving a problem that didn't need solved? Like for me, this is a lifesaver. I love not having cables. I love that it's small, lightweight. I don't have to worry about bringing, you know, 10 foot of cable if I go to a headshot job. I just want to know, is this like a problem that needed to be solved? Karna says, not tethering yet. I love the optimism there. I don't tether, but I probably should. So yeah, the benefits of tethering are great. So I was actually doing this last night for some food shots, and I wanted to make sure that all of the images were, you know, the same one after one. So I put it in there, and then I would just hit, you know, boom, take the picture, next, next, next. And then when I did the editing for the video I was working on, all of those files were already there. I didn't have to go find my memory card reader, plug it into my iPad, bring those files over. No, I was shooting directly into it. So then all the content that I needed was there. Natalie says, hello. Hello, Natalie. Absolutely. So we have one. So Natalie says, I don't mind the cable. Natalie, what kind of photography do you want to know? Or what kind of photography do you do? I want to know. And then Jim, absolutely always a tripping hazard. Yeah, so for me, I just like that clean look. And that's why I like having, you know, wireless lights. That's why I like making sure that everything stays super clean. To me, I think it just looks a little more professional. Now, if you're not having clients come into your studio, well, then that's totally different. You know, if it's just you and you can deal with the cable, Tether Tools makes awesome products for like stopping the jerk, stopping, you know, where the jerk meaning where it pulls out of your computer or out of your camera. They have a whole line of stuff. This company is built on just things for photographers to tether their computers. So huge fan. Let's see what Mike says. The cable is an annoyance, but most of my work is tabletop food photos. So it only gets in the way when I'm switching to overhead shots. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I have an overhead rig for my food photography that's like welded steel. And I was actually wiring a cable up, and then I'm like, duh, just keep this nearby, and that way you don't even have to worry about it. I mean, whether you're shooting like this or you put it on that overhead rig, you don't have to worry about any of the cables. I want to tether from the Canon R. Do you know if it will record to the SD as well as the PC that I'm tethered to? Absolutely, great question. And the answer is yes. So you have the option. It's always going to save it there and then copy it over to your PC or your iPad. And that's one thing that's really cool about this. So if you notice on the side here, we actually have there's a switch here that says ADU and mobile. So if ADU, that's their desktop tool, and that's going to allow you to connect it to a PC, Windows or Mac, this will work. I will warn you, if you have updated to the last OS for Mac, not just Tether Tools, but many software programs, they're just having issues with that newest version. So Tether Tools, if you go onto their website, they have support bulletins for what works and what doesn't. And I think right now it's just the latest version of Mac OS is having some issues. But again, that's with a lot of software that's out there. So if you put it into this mobile side, boop, what it's going to do, it's going to actually, in the mobile app, which is available on Android and iOS, it's actually going to show your show this device up in the actual mobile app itself, whether it's your phone or your iPad. But you do have to make sure that you do have this turned over. to that side. So if you want, let's say you want to, hook it up to a TV, but you only have an iPad, well, that's totally fine. So what you can do is you can come out of your iPad with a HDMI dongle and just plug it directly into your TV. And then anything that shows up on that iPad will then show up on the screen. Or if you want to take it a step further, you can hook up something like an Apple TV to your TV and just wirelessly cast that over. So you can have, the parents looking at it on the studio, or you can have it, in front of you. Like, let's say I'm shooting food. I have the camera set up. I have the iPad here, but then I can have my TV, which I have a TV right here. I can actually have it show up here as well, just by doing that wireless, like I was talking about. So going around, I did want to talk a little bit about, it does have the ability for external power as well. So don't think that you always have to have this battery plugged in. You can actually just plug this in via USB. So if you have one of those battery chargers for your phone, you can just plug it in right there and it'll keep it going for longer. It is USB-C, so it is the latest and greatest from, as far as connection speeds go. And also, I did want to let you know that this does have the serial number for the software actually in the box. So if you're looking all over for it, this is something that I kind of got caught up with. I didn't realize it had that code in there. So I had to go in and find that. So don't throw your box away. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about is what programs does this work with? And then I wanted to kind of talk about the idea of a watched folder and what does a watched folder mean? So number one, like we said, it works on Mac and PC. It works on Android and iOS. And then as far as the software that it works with, we have Capture One Pro, Smart Shooter. And the reason I'm reading is because I don't know some of these. Adobe Lightroom works really well with that one we have worked with. Darkroom, Nikon Camera Control Pro, and Canon EOS Utility. So if you don't use those tools, what do? Let's say you have a Panasonic and it doesn't say their Panasonic app on there. What are you supposed to do? Well, there's this idea of a watched folder. So what you do is you tell the software, I want you to take all these photos and just put them on a folder on my desktop. Okay, so every time you take a picture, it's going to transfer and they're just going to show up there. Then what you do is you open up your tool. So let's say it's Lightroom, for example. You go into Lightroom and go to File, and then look for where it says Watched Folder. And then as long as that folder is empty, again, you want to set up the folder, go into Lightroom, and tell it to look at this folder. And basically, it's watching for changes in that folder. So as soon as that first photo is dropped in there, Lightroom's going to say, hey, I need that photo. And it's going to import it. It's going to bring it in. So let's say this only had, it didn't have any of these tools available that it directly works with. That's how you would then get by that. So like I would worry with a Panasonic that, Nikon and Canon are the best tethering tools for, they work best with Lightroom because they have that kind of baked in. Whereas other manufacturers, you have to do these workarounds. So if you do the watched folder option, it will just look for anything that changes in that folder. You can even drag something from, a whole folder of things into there, and it's just going to bring them into Lightroom. It's just, that's what it's trained to do. It's trained to monitor it for, different changes within those files. So that's another way that you can use this tool, even if it's something that's not supported. You might use a special software that's just not on here. For example, I use On1 for a lot of my processing. Well, On1 is not listed on here, not to be confused with Capture One. So the workflow that I would have to use is that use that watched folder one. So let's see what kind of questions we have. Can multiple users share this Tether Tool product? Not at the same time. My husband, a Fuji shooter, and I, a Sony shooter, could share one. Absolutely. So the only thing that's limited that I know of is the installation of the software. So that doesn't mean like you have that product key. I would have to talk to our friends at Tether Tools just to see if there's a limit of activations for that serial number. But I know that there is a serial number in this box that locks that software. But if you guys are sharing a computer, I wouldn't see any issues. Or if one of you is using an iPad or a mobile device, I wouldn't see any issues at all. So yeah, all you'd have to do is make sure that it's plugged in here and plugged into the, any of the cables, and it comes with all of them. So it has the USB-C on there. And I believe you said your husband is a Sony shooter, so it does have the micro USB. Yep, it has the micro USB there as well. And these all come with it. So another thing that I wanted to point out is this does have this little, this is kind of a pro tip for you if you do pick up one of these, or just knowledge in general. So do you see this 2.5 to 5 gigahertz? So what that means is, let's say you're having issues with wireless, and actually, Jen says love watched folders, and I'm actually going to talk about an instance that I learned from the STITS about wireless interference. So on this, the reason that there is a switch is a lot of our common communication or our common Wi-Fi channels are shared with other electronic devices, and they broadcast on that same spectrum. So, for example, a microwave could interfere, cordless telephone system could interfere. All these wireless devices that we have could interfere. So if you're noticing you're having some issues, you can actually take this and switch over to the 5 gigahertz. So for example, with the STITS, we were at a wedding in Philadelphia, and I was tagging along for the day. And one of the things that they do for their flashes, because again, your flash, operates on similar frequencies as well, they actually go in and scan the entire room for radio frequencies and then set their Canon flashes to be on the one that has the least interference. Because again, in their case, they are being paid to cover that event, and they can't have a flash not fire or fire at the wrong time because someone flips on a microwave in the kitchen. So what they do is they actually go in there and scan the room. Well, this is something similar in that you can switch this little 2.4 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz to see what has the best throughput. 5 gigahertz is just going to be a little bit faster, but it might not go as far. 2.4 gigahertz might be a little bit slower, but you're going to get a little bit more distance. And that's just in general. That's not just with this, that's just in general. So what other questions do we have about tethering? I wanted to talk about another option, but before I move on to that, are there any other questions that you guys have about the Case Air, or I'm sorry, the Air Direct? No preguntas. Muy bien. Okay, so the next thing is the Case Air. So let's say you don't want to spend 300 bucks. You just want a simple device that you can plug in and go just to your mobile device. That's exactly what the Case Air was designed for. So the Case Air came out a couple years before the actual Air Direct. And with this, it's a smaller device. So it's only about yay big, and it goes in the hot shoe, and it plugs into your camera directly, and it provides you a lot of the similar features, but it doesn't have the extra battery. It doesn't have all the more fine-tuned features like the Air Direct does. This works Mac, PC, Android and iOS, but I love it just to use it as a to shoot to the mobile device. It's small, it's lightweight, a lot less expensive. So let me jump over to their website again so I can bring up the Case Air. So the Air Direct is $329, and then the Case Air I'm pulling up right now. I thought it was like I want to say it was like 200 bucks. Don't quote me on that as the website is loading, but I want to say it was around 200. Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. I will pull it up and I will share it in. Oh, yep, Case Air 159. So, for $159, you can get started. You can, just kind of play around. That's half of the price of the Air Direct, and you can actually get started with that. So, we have those in stock, but for $159, it's a great way for you to get started with wireless tethering. But I will say the one thing that's really great about the Air Direct is the fact that it does have that common battery right on top. And I don't know that the Case Air allows you to switch the frequencies. That was one of the upgrades that they had, I believe. And just being able, especially if you're a Canon shooter and you already have these batteries, throwing 2 of those when you're going out for a hot headshot job, boom, you're good to go. So I keep saying when you go out on a job. So how would you use this out and about? So what I would do, and what I've tried shooting tethered before for these events, but it just becomes a pain because there wasn't something like this available when I was doing it, but headshots. So what I would do is I would have a laptop sitting there or an iPad, so that way they can go through. Let's say you take 10 shots. Okay, what I need you to do is I want you to go through and mark 3 of your favorites. So you hand them the iPad, boom, boom, they pick their 3 favorites. Is there anything you want to change? And when I do my headshots, what I'll do is I'll take a couple photos and then I'll show them, what do you like? What don't you like? These are our practice shots. And then they make the change. Yep, I like that one. So that way they can never say in the future, I didn't like the shot, or that wasn't what I was thinking, because they're seeing it right now without you're asking them directly. So what you can do now is you can have an iPad sitting there where, as you're shooting, they're seeing those photos come out, and then they're picking their favorites and they're actually giving them the star rating. So that way all your culling is already done. So think about how much time that headshot, let's say you do 100 headshots in one day, and you would have had to import all 100 of those photos, and then you would have to go through and cull them, and then you would have to retouch them. Well, now with the correct workflow, you shoot them, they pick the ones that they like, and then they're saved. So if you have Lightroom syncing turned on, you could actually have, if you have anybody back at the studio, they could already be starting to work on those photos for the retouching process, because because Lightroom allows you to sync wirelessly or sync over the internet, and all those files will then show up. So great, great, great option for you. If anybody does have any questions about tethering, any tethering at all, let me know. I'm going to go over our contest for this week and let you know what other items are coming down the pike as far as the live stream. So let me go ahead and pull this live stream up. Let me make sure we're sharing the right one there. And we'll jump right over to that one. So if there aren't any questions, I'm going to move on. So talk a little bit about PhotoFest. So PhotoFest is our annual conference that happens in Cleveland, Ohio. So at Cleveland State University is where it's held, and we have 10 speakers that we have announced so far. You guys know all of them already because you join me every day, but we have an amazing, amazing, amazing crew of talented speakers from all over the US. And this isn't just going to be a come sit and get knowledge, just sit in a lecture and learn. This is going to be hands-on. It's going to be mixed hands-on and classroom instruction. But all of our speakers, when we've met with them, when we've talked about them, we've urged them that this is going to be hands-on. So anything, we want people to act now. And this is 3 days of this intensive training. And because you guys are some of our awesome speakers, like we talked about, Vanessa Joy, the Stitz, actually Jen's in the chat right now. Hello, Jen. Isaac Coffey, Jeff Carpenter, Aaron Anderson, all top in their field. And you guys can actually use the code Lunch and Learn to save $100. So this gives you half off admission to this. And as of right now, we've been going back and forth with Cleveland State. Everything is still a go for August. So now's the time. If you want to lock in the $100 rate, I definitely urge you to do so. We are still doing 20% off all of our Think Tank bags and Mindshift bags. So you could save up to about $100 on bags. So if you've been looking at that Think Tank bag, I know if anybody in the chat has them, I can say without a doubt, these are my most rugged bags, the most highest quality bags. These are the ones that I've traveled across the US with them and never had an issue. I also want to let you know that we are working with Sigma to raise money for our local food bank, the Cleveland Food Bank. So 5% of your lens sale, your lens purchase, will go directly to people in need. So if you're thinking about that Sigma lens and you want to help us do our part, I just want to let you know that that 5% is going directly to those. Do you need additional help? We do have virtual one-to-one classes. So let's say you want to, set up a tethering workflow. Let's say you want to learn more about video or live streaming. We have virtual one-on-one classes available. So whoever the person that's in their wheelhouse. So if you wanted to talk about tethering, it would be me. We would sit down and talk about your workflow directly and how we can put the right tools in place. And you might already have everything that you need for that workflow. We would just sit down and talk through that. So we have those available. And I also wanted to let you know, oh, this is actually an older one. Nope, there we go. So tomorrow we're going to have Tony Corbell on. So Tony is a wizard when it comes to lighting. So if you want to learn a little bit more about lighting, learn from Tony. I swear he's like the godfather of lighting, the wizard of light. I have all these names for Tony because he is just top notch when it comes to lighting your portrait subjects or just lighting in general. So we're going to sit down, we're going to talk to him. We also have Jen and Travis are going to be on talking about, I forget what our topic was. I'll get back to you on what our topic was. I have it in notes. But it's going to be probably a lot more on, actually I do remember, more about their kind of their sales process and how they step through their brides. They're one of the top wedding professionals in the Philadelphia market, which is a very tough market. So we're going to learn a lot from them. And then throughout the rest of the week, we have Sigma coming in Thursday, and then the Friday Focus, which is where I talk about industry news and fun stuff like that. I wanted to also let you know what our theme was. I actually messed up my slide order there. There we go. So this week's theme is my pets. And I know that Jen and Travis have two awesome little pups that they can enter into this as well. Doc and Marty could win $50. A $50 gift card is what we are giving away. That's actually my new pup there from the snow last week as I was testing out the 70 to 180. All you have to do is follow us on Instagram, and then tag your photo with hashtag Pixel Connection and hashtag my pet. And just because it's hashtag my pet doesn't mean that you actually have to take a photo of your own pet. It's just the idea is pets in general. So if you have to, from safe distance, go photograph a neighbor's pet just to get your entry in there, then I would definitely urge you to do that, because it's a great way to win $50. Jim won 2 weeks ago. Aaron won last week. Hopefully you can win this week, and you can pocket $50 to spend anywhere in our store or online. We can also do it online. So if there aren't any more questions, let's see, we had a couple more comments in here. Chris Gilbert, our friendly Fuji Tech rep, who is also coming up next week, talking about some landscape stuff. Jen says, hey. And then Brad Cohn, our friendly, most of the time friendly, no, he's a friendly guy, our friendly Panasonic sales rep, stopped by to say hello. So thank you guys so much for watching today. I appreciate you joining me as we talked a little bit about tethering and one of my favorite products, the Air Direct. I hope you guys have a great week and have a good day. See ya.